Welcome to Lab 10. In this lab, we're looking at plants and the diversity of plants. So, we are going to scroll through and do a little introductory information about plants. But before we do that, we talk about algae because algae are similar to plants. They're not the same, but they're similar. So we'll look at Spirogyra and a few other algae. Then we have some characteristics of the kingdom Plantae. And then we have the main groups of plants: bryophytes, seedless vascular gymnosperms, which have seeds, and angiosperms. As previous, you have a place to practice your knowledge and looking at some vocabulary words. And here's more vocabulary words that are good to know for the quiz and exams. And some examples. So let's go straight to what you're going to do, because sometimes you find this a little confusing. So we're going to start with the PowerPoint slide. So these slides are located within Canvas and in your lab manual. So again, there's some information about algae. Volvox, Spirogyra are both examples of algae. Then we get to our example, which is going to be our strawberry. So it says strawberries have true roots, stems, leaves, and are more than 10 centimeters tall. They produce seeds, and they're non-woody erect vegetation. So, using the information about strawberries, let's go back to the actual lab. And we're going to go to this flow diagram. So you're going to start where it says begin here. And you're going to pick one of two choices. So no true root stems or leaves, or true root stems or leaves. Well, we said strawberries had true root stems or leaves. So you're going to record the number 4 because this is the path that you're going to take. Then seeds or no seeds? Well, strawberries have seeds, so that's going to be a number 5. So we have 4 and then 5. Then our next choices are do not produce flowers. Leaves usually needle-like, produce flowers. Well, strawberry plants produce flowers, so we're going to pick another 5. So we've got 4, 5, 5, and then you're going to decide, are they a monocot or a dicot? So you're going to look for their leaf. Are they net veined or are they parallel veined? Let's go back to that PowerPoint slide, and it says use for type of venation, and it looks like they are net veined. So let's go back to our options. So that's going to be another 4. And then you get to pick tree, shrub, linnea, herb, based on those definitions that you have in the lab manual. So those numbers, we're going to go back up, are going to go right here. So there's our 4, 5, 5, 4, 2. And then you're going to add all those up, and you're going to get a total score of 20. And that's significant because the higher the value, the more recent they have been on Earth, but they evolve. So they've got more adaptations. So the higher the value, the more adaptations they have. And then you're going to write what they were and then all of the characteristics that you figured out along the way. So you would say more than 10 centimeters, they produce seeds, they have flowers, they have leaves and net veins. And then you're going to go back up here and put that they are angiosperms and eudicots. You're going to do the same thing for our liverworts. You're going to work through all of them. It is important to note for the quiz, you need to know which ones have the highest value. So it's not a bad idea for you to kind of write down and study the ranking of them. Once you're all done with that, that's photo 1. Then we're going to scroll through here. We've got some flower anatomy. So we're going to label a flower. This is going to be photo 2. So label the flower and take a photo of that, answer the question. Then we have some pollinators. So we need our plants to be pollinated. And this is another one you sometimes get a little confused on. So I've done the first one for you. So it says baby's breath. So we're going to go back to that PowerPoint slide. And here's our pictures of baby's breath. Small petals, no odor. So those are the 2 pieces of information that we're going to use for our table. So flower color was white. They had no odor, so none. They didn't have it. their shape was small petals, and we're going to figure out how we know that the wind is their pollinator. So we're going to work our way through here. So sepals and petals reduced or inconspicuous, meaning very small, feathery or large stigma, flower with no odor. Well, right there, 1A got us to wind. But we have a daisy and a lily, so you're going to continue to do that. So if it had sepals, petals that were large, then you're going to go to number 2. And then you're just going to pick a choice from each one. So if they had a distinct odor, you would go to 3. And if it was a strong odor that was heavy and sweet, it would be a moth. If it was sweat, feces, or decaying meat, it would be a fly. And you're just going to keep working your way down until you get to, it's only going to be 1. So it's either going to be wind, moth, bat, fly, butterfly, or hummingbird, bee, or beetle. So using the slides, you're going to fill in the table. That is photo number 2. Crossword, again, is for practice. Actually, that was photo number 3, sorry. And then next, you're going to find a live plant. So you can go outside, you can go to, if you don't have any in your house, you can go to a store that has flowers. You're going to write down the name of the flower. So let's say Lily, your name, so Amy Good, and what kind of flower it is as far as its category. Is it an angiosperm? Is it a gymnosperm? So, Amy Good, gymnosperm, it's a lily, and then you're going to take the name and the date, and then you're going to take a selfie with all of those.